At the beginning, it never feels like you are giving up anything. It feels like you are choosing love. It feels like you are doing what a good man is supposed to do. You meet her, and something about the connection feels rare, almost fragile, like it needs protection. You don't want to lose it. So you lean in, you adjust a little, you cancel a plan here, delay something there. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself relationships require compromise. And at first, you're right. Nothing feels wrong yet. Nothing feels heavy. You're still you. You still have your goals, your routines, your sense of direction. It just feels like you've added someone important to your life. And because you care, you want her to feel secure. You want her to know she matters. So when something has to give, you let it be you. Not because she demands it, but because it feels easier, quieter, more peaceful. You tell yourself that love is about sacrifice, and you want to do it right. Over time, those small choices start to stack up. You stop seeing certain friends as often because it's simpler not to explain. You stop pursuing certain goals with the same urgency because the timing never feels right anymore. You start filtering your decisions through one question before you even notice you're doing it. Will this upset her? Will this cause tension? Will this lead to an argument that drains the energy out of the night? Most of the time, it feels better to just let things go. You convince yourself you're being mature. You convince yourself this is what stability looks like. And nothing dramatic happens. There's no big fight, no clear moment where you can say, "This is where I lost myself." It happens quietly, slowly, almost politely. The strange thing is, no one is taking anything from you. You're offering it, you're choosing it. Every time you put your needs second, it feels like a reasonable decision. Every time you stay quiet instead of speaking up, it feels like you're keeping the peace. Every time you shrink a little to make the relationship feel smoother, it feels like love in action. And because it happens gradually, you don't feel the weight of it at first. You still recognize yourself in the mirror. You still believe you're in control. You still believe you could change things if you wanted to. You just don't want to yet. As months turn into years, your world starts to narrow without you fully realizing it. Your life becomes organized around the relationship. Your schedule bends to it. Your priorities orbit it. You don't talk about your dreams as much anymore. Not because they're gone, but because they don't feel as relevant. You tell yourself you'll get back to them later. Right now, the relationship comes first. Right now, being dependable matters more. You become the man who is always there, always available, always understanding, and at first, that feels like strength. It feels like reliability. It feels like being needed. But something subtle starts to change. You notice that your opinions don't come out as easily as they used to. You pause before speaking, not because you've thought deeply, but because you're gauging the reaction. You notice that decisions are rarely truly mutual anymore. You adapt, you accommodate, you explain things away in your own head. You start telling yourself stories to make it all make sense. She's just stressed. This is just a phase. Every relationship goes through this. You don't feel angry. You feel tired. And tired men don't fight for themselves. They conserve energy. They choose the path that causes the least friction. Without meaning to, you stop asking for more. You stop expecting appreciation. You stop noticing when effort isn't returned. You tell yourself that love isn't transactional, that you shouldn't keep score, and in a way, that's true. But something important gets lost in that thinking. When you give everything without boundaries, you slowly remove the space where respect lives. Not because anyone is cruel, but because human dynamics change when one person erases himself. What once felt like choice starts to feel like obligation. What once felt like desire starts to feel routine. And you don't notice it happening until one day you realize that being needed doesn't feel the same as being wanted. You're still giving. In fact, you're giving more than ever. You're more patient, more forgiving, more consistent. But the relationship doesn't feel deeper. It feels flatter. Your presence feels expected, not valued. Your effort feels normal, not meaningful. And that's confusing because you did everything right. You showed up, you stayed loyal, you sacrificed. You gave her your time, your focus, your emotional energy. You gave her everything you had. And yet, something essential is missing. You can't quite name it, but you feel it in the quiet moments. In the way conversations feel shorter, in the way affection feels automatic instead of intentional, in the way your absence wouldn't really change much at some point. Usually when the house is quiet or when you're alone with your thoughts, a realization starts to form. You don't feel like yourself anymore. Not dramatically, not in a way that makes for a story, just in a dull, persistent way. You look back and struggle to remember when you last did something purely because it mattered to you. You realize that your life exists almost entirely inside the relationship. Your sense of purpose, your routines, even your identity feel tied to one person. And that's when fear creeps in. Because if you're honest, you don't know who you are without her anymore. And that makes the idea of change feel impossible. You start to understand the trap you're in. Leaving would mean rebuilding from a version of yourself that no longer exists. Staying means continuing a life that feels smaller than it should. And neither option feels good. You've invested too much time, too much effort, too much of yourself. Walking away would mean admitting that giving everything didn't save the relationship. It would mean admitting that love alone wasn't enough. And that's a hard thing for a man to accept, especially one who believes in commitment, especially one who prides himself on endurance. So you stay. Not because you're happy, but because it feels safer than starting over. You tell yourself this is just how long-term relationships are. You tell yourself passion fades, excitement settles, this is normal, and maybe parts of it are. But deep down, you know the difference between calm and emptiness. You know the difference between peace and silence. You feel it when you realize that no one is asking who you are anymore. No one is curious about your inner world, not even you. The hardest part is that none of this happened because you were weak. It happened because you were willing. You were loyal, you were patient. You believed that giving more would eventually bring balance. You believed that if you just held things together long enough, everything would work out. But relationships don't work that way. When a man gives up his boundaries, his direction, his sense of self, the relationship doesn't grow stronger, it grows lopsided. And over time, lopsided things lose their shape. Eventually, you stop feeling like a partner and start feeling like a fixture, something reliable, something stable, something that doesn't change. And while stability is important, attraction and respect don't thrive on sameness alone. They need polarity. They need individuality. They need two whole people choosing each other, not one person dissolving into the other. And by the time you understand this, it often feels too late. The habits are set. The roles are defined. The version of you that once stood firmly in his own life feels distant. Looking back, the most painful realization isn't that you love too much. It's that you slowly stopped loving yourself in the process. Not intentionally, not all at once, but quietly, through thousands of small decisions that seemed harmless at the time. You didn't lose yourself in one moment. You gave yourself away piece by piece, believing that was the price of love. And this is what happens to a man who gives everything to one woman. Not because she asked for it, not because he was forced, but because he believed that love meant disappearing for the sake of the relationship. And when a man finally sees that clearly, the weight of it settles in. There's no anger, no drama, just a deep, quiet understanding. Giving everything didn't make the relationship stronger. It made him smaller, and rebuilding a life after that takes more than time. It takes remembering who you were before you thought love required you to give up everything that made you a man in the first place. If any part of this felt familiar, it's because this story is more common than most men want to admit. It doesn't happen loudly. It doesn't come with warnings. It happens slowly under the label of commitment, patience, and love. And by the time it's clear, the cost has already been paid.